Oh man, what's up, YouTube? Flash speaks back, man, for another one of these necessary evils videos that I gotta do here. All right, so now shout out to VF Vane or VF Main. I'm sorry if I'm getting your channel wrong, my brother, but who I got this information through, and then I went and checked it, and unfortunately, it is true. So now we got the great featherweight 126-pound division, ranked right now at ESPN, I think around number 7th best pound for pound fighters in the world. Shakur Stevenson, who I believe comes out of the same camp as Terrence Bud Crawford, who, in my opinion, for my money, is number 1 pound for pound right now. But he's in the news here, not about boxing, but about just stuff he's saying that I feel like should be addressed. And this is the second time Shakur Stevenson has said something real wild. Prior to this, he has said something about one of these fighters, man, whose name escapes me right now, Budapeg or something, would beat Muhammad Ali, supposedly, or some of his friends said it or something like that, and he weighed in on it. But I ignored that joint at that time, and that really bothered me because Muhammad Ali is very special, near and dear to my heart. And I know I be saying this stuff all the time, but I really have met Muhammad Ali before. I met him twice. One time he came into Philadelphia, and he was being brought around by some of the brothers who do the homies chips, out of Philadelphia. Brother Samir Muhammad, hopefully he don't mind me putting his name on here. But I was at the Juma prayer, just waiting, and then all of a sudden I just heard, like some noise or whatever. I looked over to the left, saw Muhammad Ali sitting over there, and man, that joint was crazy because it was distracting, to pay attention to the sermon when Muhammad Ali's sitting right there, Then there was this other time, during the summertime, he had this little camp where he has like this little camp. I think it's out Bloomsburg or somewhere in PA, not too far, where he used to train. And we took a little field trip out there, man, and he showed up and everything like that. I got an opportunity to like shake the great one's hand and stuff like that, right? So it was one of the most fondest memories that I'll ever have, my life, But anyway, back to Shakur. The wild thing he said now, is that basically, man, this dude, he called, a man who's considered the greatest pound for pound fighter of all time by many, definitely considered who wears the crown in the middleweight division, the great Sugar Ray Robinson. He basically said he was trash. Shakur Stevenson sitting up here, he has looking at film of Sugar Ray Robinson and coming to the conclusion, because the defensive styles that Sugar Ray Robinson used, in his opinion, he's trash because of that. And I'm not even going to go into the technicalities of where Shakur Stevenson is misguided here, and I'm going to kind of take it another route, because for me, it's much bigger than just that, just boxing and just his opinion or whatever. And it's more endemic for me of this particular generation, and this society, and this particular race of people, and that's what I'm talking about, us, the African Americans, in particular, the African Americans who are the descendants, of those who were held illegally in bondage here in these United States. And this is part of our not only crabs in a barrel mentality, but it's a mentality wherein we disrespect, if not try to erase, our own culture, not understanding how important the past is towards understanding one's present and towards planning for one's future. Like, many of us just don't understand that. So for me, it's more than just, looking at Shakur as just a dumb nigga, which he really is in this subject, in this particular situation. Excuse my language. This, like I'll tell you all the time, I'm not for everyone. This channel is not for everyone. So all of you, who come in, telling me, or you say, you speak sideways to some of the other people. How do you support someone so, using the word vulgar? Or how do you, the other guy comes in and tells me, there's a reason why you only have 2,000 subs and all of that. Listen, man, I don't care about none of that, bro. I speak frankly when I see appropriate, and this is just one of those appropriate times. I'll try to take into consideration some of you people's issues or some of your pet peeves, words you don't like, this and that. But what I also advise you is to understand everyone doesn't see everything as you do. Everyone doesn't look at certain words as egregiously as you look at them. That's your thing. You can take time and try to convince someone that, this word is as egregious as you think, and that it should never be used, but you can't control what anyone decides to say or do. Of course, you can control what you listen to, and if it bothers you that much and you got to roll, then go ahead. It's no sweat off my back. I'm going to sleep real fine tonight. I'm going to have the air conditioner up. Right, we're going to be at about 60-something degrees. My legs going to be up. All right, I'll probably be done finish eating me some nice crab legs or something like that, and I'm going to sleep like a baby. So it really doesn't matter to me. All right. So he said this about Sugar Ray Robinson, and this is something that I really need us to understand, man. This is what we really need to understand. This comes as a result of parents not relaying to their children what must be relayed. And parents not teaching not probably themselves seeing the big picture, number one, and then not instilling in the children the importance of the big picture. And I'm disappointed because, you figure someone like himself should have spent a lot of time boxing, as a kid, very young. Should have spent time with trainers, who taught him the history, who had him watch these things and appreciate these things. You know what I mean? Because Muhammad Ali watched, the greats who came before him. The Joe Lewises, the Rocky Marcianos, the Jack Johnsons, and so on. And he actually spoke on them, and he always spoke highly of them, right? And he never put himself out there that he would beat any of them or anything like that. He never done any of those types of things. Same thing with Roy Jones, the type of respect that Roy Jones gives to those who fought before him. The same thing with any really respectable fighter. If you look at Floyd Mayweather, the respect he gives to a Pernell Whitaker, for example, and stuff like that. Those are good. But what I'm finding right now is this trend right now of current athletes, for some reason, disrespecting eras that came before them, not understanding the necessity of that era's existence in order for them to have, what they have now, right? Without, I believe his name was Benny. I forget his name, man. But there was a brother out of Philadelphia who had made famous the Philly shell defense in boxing, who had made it famous. The defense that is employed by Floyd Mayweather Jr. And many people accredit Floyd with the Philly shell defense, but it was not from Floyd Mayweather or his father. His father and them got it from Benny. I forgot his name. I did a video on this a couple of years ago, actually, where I was talking about this, when I was dealing with a little bit more with boxing back then. And without him inventing the Philly shell defense, you don't have the career that Floyd Mayweather had. And people got to understand that. That's just throughout. Fighters now, they look at fighters before, they imitate their styles, and they might add to it, or they might add their own mix to it. They might switch it up a little bit. But without the fighter who invented that particular style, you are who you are. And to be completely honest with you, I don't think Shakur Stevenson, even with the Sugar Ray Robinson, with the so-called bad defense and all of that he has, I don't think he would have a chance with him anyway. Because he's not the athlete that Sugar Ray Robinson was. Doesn't have the reach that he had. Doesn't have the strength that Sugar Ray Robinson had. Definitely ain't got the power Sugar Ray Robinson had. And definitely ain't got the dog Sugar Ray Robinson had. To even compete with him anyway. But that's just a side thing. But we are people, man, right now. Us who are just disconnected from our culture. And many of us don't know what to do after that. Because it's okay to be in a particular circumstance. Nobody can hold you accountable for the circumstance you find yourself in. What you're held accountable for is your unwillingness to get yourself up out of that circumstance. That's where self-accountability comes from. So this is why I don't have any type of I don't feel sorry for Shakur in his ignorance, right? I don't feel like he deserves some type of pass or an excuse for this type of ignorance, right? We come from a culture. Y'all ever heard of the saying that it takes a tribe to raise a child? It takes a tribe to raise a child. This is a saying that finds its origin in our ancestors' culture, in African culture, right? The problem that we have right now is bigger than just, okay, fathers not doing their job, mothers having to take care of the household, and all of that kind of stuff. There's stuff that just kind of put out there. The bigger problem is that we're void of tribe. And it's naturally in us. This is why we go out and establish things in the wrong way. And this isn't no knock on anybody. This is why we go establish vice lords. This is why we establish Bloods and Crips. And in Philly, when Philly was gang warring, you had the Zulu Nation, you had the Moroccans, you had other groups like that going on when Philadelphia was into that in the 60s and 70s, right? We naturally tend to, we have this void in us because we're tribal. And then we end up trying to do it in the wrong way, right? But the problem is we're void of tribe in the true and natural sense, the organic sense that we had when prior to coming to this country and being kind of like separated and divided, because there was a concerted effort. There was a concerted effort during those years, when our ancestors were enslaved and then captured, to separate, tribal members from each other. Even when they were put on boats and chained, right? They would make sure that they would have a Wolof next to a Hausa, and that Hausa cannot speak Wolof, and that Wolof cannot speak Hausa. They would make sure that, that Igbo was next to Bamaleki, to make sure the Bamaleki can't speak Igbo, so on and so forth. That a Fulani is not, is next to a Yoruba, and to make sure that Fulani can't speak Yoruba. So that way, why? That way, when they were on the ship, that they wouldn't be able to plot. Similar to like in the movie Amistad, where those brothers were able to plot together and take over the ship. They realized that this would inhibit their ability to do that. And they also carried this on, into the plantations and so on, right? There was always this divide and conquer strategy that was being employed. And what a lot of our dumb individuals right now, and I'm going to add LeBron James as another one to that, is that he doesn't see that what he's doing on this stupid ass Mind the Game podcast, where all he's doing is sitting up there trying to prop himself up as the greatest of all time, that what he's doing is not promoting the game. Because if you're going to promote the game, you should promote the history of the game as well as the future of the game. That all he wants to do is promote his goddamn self. So that's why he's up there trying to promote himself as the greatest. And it's really a failure, and it's going to make him lose, I think, more fans than he's going to gain. Right? I think his legacy is going to be trash if he keeps it up. But what he's doing is when you lessen or when you degrade the black contribution to American culture, and I don't care what it is, right? Even if it's just sports, that still is a contribution. What you're doing is you're aiding those who want to erase the significance of our contribution. And right now, you should understand that you have individuals in the White House who are making a concerted effort right now to erase the contribution of blacks. They want to erase what Benjamin Banneker has done for the country. They want to erase what Sojourner Truth has done for the country. They want to erase what Harriet Tubman has done. They want to erase the many others whose names are just not coming to George Washington Carver, the number of so many inventors, man, like who invented the three lights, traffic lights, who contributed to the internet development, who contributed to so much, man, in American culture, right? You have individuals who want to erase that or want to just lessen its significance. That what you're doing is, and I don't even know if these individuals like a Shakur and even LeBron or whatever, I don't know if they're being approached and paid to do this stuff or not, but I find the timing very, very suspicious. Very, very suspicious that this just tends to be the trend right now. You're a champion now. Let's disrespect Sugar Ray Leonard. Let's disrespect, Pernell Whitaker. Let's disrespect Muhammad Ali. How do you go at Muhammad Ali? That's very suspicious. You got this guy, he goes at Muhammad Ali. It's out there, Tyson Fury could beat Muhammad Ali. Like, who in the world is insane enough to say something like that? That Tyson Fury could beat Muhammad Ali is one of the things I heard. And then Sugar Ray Robinson. So you going at the two guys that are on the mountaintop, right? Like that's very suspicious to me. Very suspicious, right? You're not going at like the Hawk Aaron Pryor, who was great, but who's not considered on the mountaintop. You're not going at Macho Camacho and all of these other Latino fighters. You're going to go at the guys who considered the greatest pound for pound of all time. Why? What is that all about? And what do you hope to accomplish in that? What are you looking to destroy the history, the significance of our people, just in order just to grab some measly crumbs, grab a couple dollars here and there? Like, this guy, man, like, I try to support Shakur because I'm one of those people who actually are able to see the value in him, right? Because really, he's not a popular fighter because just like all sports, boxing is pretty much viewed by a bunch of casuals. What do casuals want? In basketball, casuals want slam dunks, logo threes. In baseball, casuals want home runs. And in boxing, they want knockouts. And you ain't providing that, bro. Shakur Stevenson ain't providing that at all, right? So most of the people think you ain't like that anyway, right? So you need real boxing people to even carry your legacy. You need people like myself and others who understand the importance of what you do, of the sweet science, to even carry your legacy. And then you're going to go out there and attack our heroes, man. You're going to go out there and attack the greatest, of all time, those people we prop up, man. It's like, bro, you're stupid, man. Shakur Stevenson was very, 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 being a very stupid young guy, man. That's what you're being right now. I'm like extremely disappointed in that, man. I'm disappointed in your parents for not teaching you better. Because I'm going to tell you what happened with me. This is a tendency with young people who are uneducated. I remember watching Michael Jordan in around, 84, 85, 86, around this time. And like I said before, we used to debate who was better out of him and Dominique Wilkins. That was the big debate going on. And sometimes people would throw in Clyde Drexler. That was the big debate early on those years. But particularly, like, at least where I was, we were debating who's better out of Michael Jordan and Dominique Wilkins. And me, I just started to kind of get off of the Dr. J train because it took a while for for me to be convinced that, Jordan was possibly better than Dr. J, and it still hurts me to say that to this day. But my point is, I was going around saying that one time, and you know what? My uncle heard me saying that, man. Michael Jordan's the greatest basketball player ever, nobody ever played like him. And then what did he do? He stopped me, sat me down, and he talked to me about Wilton Norman Chamberlain. And me and him had a long conversation about the 100-point game, the averaging 50 points in the season, right? All of those different things, like the attempt by Wilt Chamberlain to gain ownership of the Philadelphia 76ers, because a big part of the reason why Wilt ended up in Golden State and not in Philadelphia for his whole career once the Warriors, became the 76ers, was because he was promised that he would be able to have part ownership. You just imagine, back in 1968, a black man having part ownership of a team. Wilt was thinking on that level back then. And as usual is what happens, especially with us, especially our pioneers, those who made the deal with him reneged. And that was a big part of the reason why Will just said F this and he went to the West Coast. Started playing either, I don't know if it was he went to the Warriors. No, I think he went to the Lakers. Yeah, left and went to the Lakers. And, you know, I had to like revamp the reason, at least allow room in my mind, you know. But the point is, my old heads where I was around didn't let me disrespect the greats. You know, they grew up watching, man. You know, and I had to learn to appreciate that. And what's important is you got to do that now for the young ones that come up, man, because that's a serious piece. You know, understanding the history of where you come from, because trust me, others want to erase, you know, what you know, the history there and our contribution. And we have many contributions, man. You know, and all of those things have their place. Some are more important than others, but, you know, we have contributions in politics, man. We have contributions in civil rights department. And not just that, we have contributions in medicine, man. Contributions in science, contributions in, you know, in neuroscience. Everything, man. And in music, as you know. You know, in damn near every genre. You know, right now, you know, they jumping on Beyonce because of her album, you know, that she did in the what was that, country music genre, went #1 and she won a Grammy. And, you know, they snapping out about that, man. Snapping out about that when really country music finds its origins, you know, in black soulful music, man. You know, from down south, you know. Same thing with rock and roll, find its origin, man, in guys like Chuck Berry, you know, Muddy Waters, and others. And, you know, we just allow this stuff, man, you know, and then you try to, and then we allow people to try to tell us we tripping when we do that. You know, if you just look at the reaction that came from some professional country music singers when Beyonce won best, you know, well, I think she won best album or something, man. You know, others do the same thing, man. You know, so the hypocrisy got to stop, the nonsense got to stop, man. And dudes like Shakur, he need to be educated, man. Need to be stopped for real, because what he's doing right there is disgusting, right? I'm not gonna go as far as some others calling him the C word, but bro, I'm watching you, man. And that's suspect right there. So that's all I got, man. Let me know what y'all think on this particular topic, man. And I'm out. Peace.